So now we come to this verse. So please follow along and repeat after me. Repeat. Desha kalartha yuktani Hritapo pashamani cha Haranti smaratas chittam Govinda bihitani me. Desha, space. Kala, time. Artha, importance. Yuktani, impregnated with. Hrit, the heart. Tapa, burning. Upashamani, extinguishing. Cha, and. Haranti, are attracting. Smarata, by remembering. Chittam, mind. Govinda, the Supreme Personality of pleasure. What a wonderful description Prabhupada has given there for Govinda. Supreme Personality of pleasure. Last word. Abhihitani, narrated by me, unto me. So this is Arjuna speaking to Yudhishthira. Please repeat. Now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. So this is yet another reason why Bhagavad Gita is the best. Just look at what Arjuna said. The Bhagavad Gita is pregnant with instructions, full of instructions. For what? Relieving the burning heart. So from time to time, we will be in anxiety. It happens. But now you know what to do. When you're in anxiety, don't watch television. Read Bhagavad Gita. When people are in anxiety, they do many crazy things. Like some non-devotees, when they're in anxiety, they hit alcohol. They start drinking. My wife's family and relatives, they're all big drinkers. That's the culture she comes from. That's why my wife is very strong, because she saw how they all drank. She wanted no part of it. So, and also they take too other kinds of intoxication. Why? They're trying to relieve the burning heart. Burning heart means anxiety, not heartburn. Burning heart means anxiety. Something that you just can't forget, and it's causing you distress. So Arjuna is saying, Bhagavad Gita, and notice, in all circumstances of time and space, like you said, Bhagavad Gita is for everyone. That's why we distribute it. Prabhupada told us, Bhagavad Gita is for everyone. That's why we give it to everyone, because it's for everyone. All right, Prabhupada's purport here is an excellent summary of Bhagavad Gita. Are you ready? Everyone chant the Maha Mantra. Follow along, please. This is very important. Herein, Arjuna refers to the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, which was imparted to him by the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The Lord left behind him the instructions of the Bhagavad-gita, not for the benefit of Arjuna alone, but also for all time and in all lands. This is Prabhupada's vision. Prabhupada wrote this purport when he was in India before coming to America. Before 1965, this volume of Bhagavatam was done. So Prabhupada already was envisioning this Bhagavad Gita being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. Same thing Shankaracharya said, same thing. It is nicely presented by the Lord himself for all who have very little time to go through the vast Vedic literatures like the Upanishads, Puranas, and Vedanta Sutras. It is put within the study of the great historical epic Mahabharata, which was especially prepared for the less intelligent class, namely the women, the laborers, and those who are worthless descendants of Brahmin, Kshatriyas, and higher sections of the Vaishyas. The problem which arose in the heart of Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra was solved by the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, because at the end, Krishna tells Arjuna, I've explained everything to you. Now you decide what you want. He doesn't force Arjuna. He says, I've told you, now you decide. And what does Arjuna said? Yes. My illusion is gone, and I will act according to what you say. That's we find directly in Bhagavad Gita. Again, after the departure of the Lord from the vision of earthly people, when Arjuna was face to face with being vanquished in his acquired power and prominence, he wanted again to remember the great teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, just to teach all concerned that Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times, not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also for the way out of great entanglements which may embarrass one in some critical hour. So I hope these words are going into your heart and you're recording this, because that day is coming for all of us. Right now you may think, I'm okay right now, but that day is coming. That day is coming. So this is for your benefit. Mine too. I'm everybody. I'm also going to have a day coming soon. Who knows? The merciful Lord left behind him the great teachings of the Bhagavad Gita so that one can take the instructions of the Lord even when Krishna is not visible to material eyesight. Material senses cannot have any estimation of the Supreme Lord, but by his inconceivable power, the Lord can incarnate himself to the sense perception of the conditioned souls in a suitable manner through the agency of matter, which is another form of the Lord's manifested energy. That's why we worship the deity. Same idea. The Lord can incarnate through matter. That's why we worship the deity. The Bhagavad Gita, or any authentic scriptural sound representation of the Lord and the Lord himself, is also the incarnation of the Lord. So so Bhagavad Gita is the incarnation of the Lord as well as the deity. There is no difference between the sound representation and the Lord himself. One can derive the same benefit from the Bhagavad Gita as Arjuna did in the personal presence of the Lord. Because people sometimes give that argument. Oh, Prabhu, Krishna was in front of Arjuna. That's why he accepted. But Krishna is not present in front of me. So Prabhupada is saying, no, don't think like that. You get the same benefit from reading Bhagavad Gita. Same benefit. But Shankaracharya taught us how. Sincerely, seriously, with devotion, right? Shankaracharya taught us how to read Bhagavad Gita. The faithful human being who is desirous of being liberated from the clutches of material existence can very easily take advantage of Bhagavad Gita, and with this in view, the Lord instructed Arjuna as if Arjuna were in need of it. In other words, Krishna put Arjuna into illusion so that he would get to speak it. You catch that? That opening sequence of Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna becomes bewildered. Krishna put Arjuna in that state as an excuse so that he would speak Bhagavad Gita for our benefit. Bhagavad Gita is for us, the people of Kali Yuga. That's what Bhagavad Gita is for us. All right, let's finish up. In Bhagavad Gita, 5 important factors of knowledge have been delineated pertaining to 1. The Supreme Lord, 2. The living being, 3. Nature, 4. Time and space, 5. The process of activity. Now, Rama, the other day at Kundan's house, you asked me about the 10 subject matters of Bhagavatam. At the end of the month, we're doing a program. We're going to hear about those 10 I've arranged it just for you. These are the 5 subjects of Bhagavad Gita, but she wants to know the 10 subjects of Bhagavatam. So what day is your program, Krishna Kumar? So we're going to have a class on those 10 subject matters. So everybody must come. I will send out the evite on Monday. No excuse, right, Krishna Kumar? Everybody must come. What's that? Whatever the day is, you'll get the evite on Monday. What's that? Okay. Yeah, because today's the 15th. It's in 2 weeks. 15 plus 14 is 29. Let's continue. Out of these, the Supreme Lord and the living being are qualitatively one. What is that quality? Yeah, spiritual. We're spiritual. That's the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. What's that? Yeah. But the quality is we're spiritual. The difference between the two has been analyzed as the difference between the whole and the part and parcel. Nature is inert matter, displaying the interaction of the 3 different modes. What are they? Goodness, passion, ignorance. And eternal time and unlimited space are considered to be beyond the existence of material nature. Activities of the living being are different varieties of aptitudes which can entrap or liberate the living being within and without material nature. So both choices are there. You can become entangled by your actions, or you can liberate yourself. What you're doing tonight is actions meant to liberate you. That's what makes these Namahat programs so valuable. These are exercises in liberation. That's a new phrase. I think I should do a advertisement. Exercises in liberation. Okay. All these subject matters are concisely discussed in the Bhagavad-gita, and later the subject matters are elaborated in Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment. Which is why, after we've gone through the Gita at Krishna Kumar's house, we're now studying Srimad Bhagavatam. It's natural. Out of the 5 subjects, the Supreme Lord, the living entity, nature, and time and space are eternal. But the living entity, nature, and time are under the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is absolute and completely independent of any other control. So that's why he's God. That's one definition of God. Independent of anyone's control. We are not. We are under control. Every one of us. But God is independent. Who is absolute and completely independent of any other control. The Supreme Lord is the supreme controller. The material activity of the living being is beginningless, but it can be rectified by transferal into the spiritual quality. So that's what we do. We take ordinary material activities, spiritualize them. That's how you get out of material entanglement. You spiritualize your material activities. Thus, it can cease its material qualitative reactions. Both the Lord and the living entity are cognizant, and both have the sense of identification of being conscious as a living force. But the living being, under the condition of material nature, called Mahat Tattva, misidentifies himself as being different from the Lord. In other words, instead of identifying ourselves as part and parcel of Krishna, we see ourselves as part and parcel of the material energy, and therefore, let me enjoy. That's the problem. When such an illusion, the whole scheme of Vedic wisdom is targeted to the aim of eradicating such a misconception and thus liberating the living being from the illusion of material identification. First lesson of Bhagavad-gita. You're not your body. You're not your mind. You're not American. You're not Gujarati. You're not Marwari. You're not this. You're not. That's not what you are. You are spirit, soul. When such an illusion is eradicated by knowledge and renunciation, the living beings are responsible actors and enjoyers also. The sense of enjoyment in the Lord is real, but such a sense in the living being is sort of a wishful desire only. This difference in consciousness is the distinction of the two identities, namely the Lord and the living being. In other words, God is the enjoyer, we are the servant. But what we don't realize is that by serving, we can enjoy more than the Lord. Not by trying to imitate Krishna. That's what he's saying here. But if we become servant of God, you can thus enjoy more than God by being the servant. The sense of enjoyment in the Lord is real, but such a sense in the living being is a sort of wishful desire only. The difference in consciousness is the distinction of the two identities, namely the Lord and the living being. Otherwise, there is no difference between the Lord and the living being. The living being is therefore eternally one and different simultaneously. The whole instruction of Bhagavad-gita stands on this principle. In the Bhagavad-gita, the Lord and the living beings are both described as Sanatan. Everybody say, or eternal. And the Lord's abode far beyond the material sky is also described as Sanatan. The living being is invited to live in the Sanatan existence of the Lord, and the process which can help a living being to approach the Lord's abode, where the liberated activity of the soul is exhibited is called Sanatan Dharma. One cannot, however, reach the eternal abode of the Lord without being free from the misconception of material identification. And the Bhagavad-gita gives us the clue how to achieve the state of perfection. The process of being liberated from the misconception of material identification is called, in different stages, fruitive activity, empiric philosophy, and devotional service, up to transcendental realization. Such transcendental realization is made possible by dovetailing all the above items in relation with the Lord. Krishna says that in Bhagavad-gita, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, do it as an offering to me. That's bhakti right there. Just do everything to Krishna. Doesn't your wife every day offer whatever you eat? That's bhakti. Very good. All right, let's continue. Such transcendental realization is made possible by dovetailing all the above items in relation with the Lord. Prescribed duties of the human being, as directed in the Vedas, can gradually purify the sinful mind of the conditioned soul and raise him to the stage of knowledge. The purified stage of acquiring knowledge becomes the basis of devotional service to the Lord. As long as one is engaged in researching the solution of the problems of life, his knowledge is called jnana, or purified knowledge. But on realizing the actual solution of life, one becomes situated in the devotional service of the Lord. That's the conclusion of Bhagavad-gita. If you study Bhagavad-gita, devotional service is the conclusion. The Bhagavad-gita begins with the problems of life by discriminating the soul from the elements of matter, and proves by all reason and argument that the soul is indestructible in all circumstances, and that the outer covering of matter, the body and the mind, change for another term of material existence which is full of miseries. The Bhagavad Gita is therefore meant for terminating all different types of miseries, and Arjuna took shelter of this great knowledge, which had been imparted to him during the Kurukshetra battle. So now you have a brilliant synopsis of what is Bhagavad Gita. And if you go through this purport line by line, you will understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so Nimai Charan,